G'day everyone, welcome to today's video, and in this video I'm going to be redoing my entire 12 volt setup. So let's jump right into what my plans are and what I'm going to be keeping and what I'm not going to be keeping and what will be replacing the things that I will not be keeping. So anyway, let's jump right into it. Off the bat, we've got a battery tie-down clamp, also got the XTM Mini Control Box, so that'll be replacing the battery box. Got another one of these little watt meters, that way I can keep track of how many watts are coming out of this or going into it, whatever measures the usage. And then I've got this here, which is an Anderson to ring terminal. That'll go from the battery to Anderson. And I've got a single Anderson to double Anderson, so that one can go to the control box and the other one can go to the DC to DC charger. I'm going to be not using this battery box because, well, I just don't like it. There's a fair few different things that I don't like about it, but I will be keeping the DC to DC charger as this thing has been bloody flawless. Got a watt meter here already, but yeah, pretty straightforward little thing. Plans for everything, it's going to go down there, battery will go there, tie down, and then I'll figure out up here where I can put all the other stuff and have it easily accessible, and also keep it down there. It'll be out of the sun for the most part. And then I'm going to try and see if I can mount the DC to DC charger somewhere on here. I'm thinking of removing this little luggage hook, putting it there, and then where that little vent is, I could probably put the control panel. And yeah, I've still got to sort of see what I'm working with space-wise, but that's the rough plan. Obviously, we've got a little bit of platform down here, which is where the battery is going to go, and then obviously this little part here is where my fridge goes. Well, with all that out of the way, I guess I should start pulling everything apart and pulling everything out of the boxes. So jump onto that. Alright, so pretty straightforward. Don't really need to unbox the battery clamp or these Andersons. Obviously, I've already unboxed one of these, so I'll just do it again real quick. Boom, there it is. Undo those connectors, and yeah, input, output, screen, warranty information. Alright, so straight off the bat, we've got the instruction booklet here, so I'll probably give that a bit of a read just to make sure that when I'm wiring it up, I'm doing it correctly. Right there, you've got your 4 USB slots, so USB-A, 2.1 amps, USB-C, PD, I think it's power delivery or something, 18 watts, and the quick charge USB-A 3.0 is 18 watts. That's funny actually, their website says that I think the QC port is actually 16 watts, so that's a bit interesting. The battery state of charge, that is not going to work for the lithium battery, as for the most part, lithium batteries maintain the same or similar voltage as they discharge, so that's always going to read probably 100%. Anyway, that's all that out of the way. I've got to say, this thing is quite hefty. Certainly feels bloody solid, that's for sure. Alright, what do we got here? These screws. Ah yes, they are screws. Oh, that's cool, they have those for you. And then those screws obviously go down in these little recessed bits either side. So we've got the little voltmeter, your 3 cigarette lighter plugs, and then down the bottom here under this weatherproof cover, we've got USB Type-C, you got your USB-A quick charge, and you got your USB-A 2.1 amps. Off the bat, that USB-C does not look very well aligned, if I do say so. Maybe when I plug something into it, it might shift over. So this on and off button is for that little gauge, and then we've got this button here, which is for the light, which has a few different settings of brightness, and at the bottom obviously we've got your ins and outs, so my fridge will be going into that one, and then this here is the Anderson that would go to your power source. Yeah, on the back I've got some little rubber feet, so you shouldn't really have any issues with vibration or anything if you mount this to an interior panel, which is what I intend on doing. Pretty cool. That's that. Now I'm going to pull this other stuff apart, and then I can get to pulling apart the battery box. Time to pull this apart, unmount this, and unravel some more of this solar cable, because I do have it wound up in there because there was a bloody ton of excess, so that'll be good. I can probably run it down, under, back up that side, and still have probably slack still, so quite a lot of it there. But anyway, get on to pulling this part. Alright, so that is going to go there, something like that. Something I also need to check is the fitment of this battery clamp. About that way. Doesn't like that way. It should be fine, honestly. All it has to do is just hold the battery down. It doesn't have to be a bloody perfect fit. I don't know whether I'll keep this thing on. I don't plan on unplugging it, so probably not. But I don't know, we can just see, I guess. Luckily, all I gotta do is just de-pin the end of that and pull it through. But for now, we'll put that dust cap back on. I actually kind of like that. I might take that and repurpose that for maybe the solar wiring, but we'll just see. Now I'm gonna have to put yours over here on this table, I think, because where I need to be is right where the camera is. Fairly sure with these lithium batteries, luckily you can definitely lie them on their side. I wonder how battery clamp fits. Yeah. There might be a few different ways I can mount this. It's certainly too big that way. If King's made the top of this battery flush with the case, it would actually work perfectly. But what I might do is if I put that like that, that's fine. Look, we'll rock with that for the moment, and then we'll, I don't know, I guess, have a look at what I can sort of fashion up. Alright, so a lot of this wiring is going to be tucked either inside of here, or it might even be coming out of there. It just depends. Chuck the camera on a time lapse, and yeah, we'll see what I can sort of fashion up. It's been a couple hours since the last clip. I had to go out and get some more supplies. Got some of these little P-clips or P-clamps or whatever they are, just to hold the wires down. Got some zip ties. Got some corrugated split sleeve tubing. And not sure how good the time lapse was. The camera kept overheating and I also kept bumping it. So yeah, but anyway, got the solar over here. I've had to grab the isolator switch from the King's battery box because I just didn't really want to have this hooked up constantly, as it will drain the battery eventually. It's probably not that much of a drain. Like, honestly, the only thing that happens is these two lights turn on. That's about it. But it's still technically a drain, so didn't really want to do that. Plus, it would be nice to be able to physically like disconnect the battery. I've got that just screwed in there. I've left it on the outside on purpose, just because I want to make sure that the nuts and the terminals on the back don't loosen with vibrations or anything like that. If it's on the outside of this plastic, well, I can visually look at it, but also I can move the wires, whereas if I were to put this behind the plastic, I would have to cut a hole for this. I'd also have to remove this panel, which is not going to be easy, because to remove this panel I need to pull this out and I don't particularly want to do that, so run with that for the moment. Yeah, pretty much cable management is the name of the game at this point. I also went out and got another battery tie-down clamp from, I think it was super cheap. It's an adjustable one, so that'll be good because I can adjust it to whatever way I want to have it on the battery. Once I start getting things mounted, I can then try and find permanent spots for things. Obviously, like the DC to DC, the 12 volt box, and this thing aren't really going to be moving anywhere, but I've just got to find somewhere that I'm happy with to put these watt meters, since I could wire in a shunt, but this tells me a lot more than what a shunt would. If I have one of these between the DC to DC and the battery, I can tell what the DC is putting into the battery, and then I'll put one of these between the battery and the 12 volt accessory panel thing. That way I can figure out how much is coming out of the battery and how much is going into the battery. And then from there, well, I'll just do quick maths and I'll be able to determine how many amp hours has gone in, how much has come out, and obviously if there's a difference in that, if 100 amp hours has gone in and only 60's come out, well, I know I have 40 amp hours in the battery. I'm going to get back to it. I've actually got to go grab that clamp. So this one here is an adjustable one. With that and that, I should be able to get this going. Let's chuck it back on a time lapse, and I will pray that my camera does not overheat. Many hours later. I haven't really been on camera all that much. I've just been rolling with the time lapse as this stuff is boring and very bloody fiddly. I think I've got something going here. So it looks kind of messy. I don't really know what I can do about that, but look, function over form is what I'll go with, I guess. A little bit of a pain in the ass as well, I had to reuse some of the wiring out of the King's battery box. Why I had to pull the wiring out of that was because I didn't actually have an isolator switch. I also kind of wanted it just for the fuses and stuff as well, so obviously you can see probably down there there's a fuse right behind that Anderson. There's a lot going on. I don't know exactly what I can do about it to tidy it up, I guess. For me, apart from all the spaghetti wires and stuff everywhere, I don't actually mind it too much. DC to DC looks fine, it's in a fine spot, same as the accessory panel. It's just down here that is the probably the worst of it. But I'm going to grab some of that conduit and I'm going to just wrap all the wires, because if everything's just black, it hopefully will just disappear into the darkness, whereas now there's like red, blue, yellow, green, black, all that in there. And yeah, well, it doesn't make for doesn't really look very nice. So in regards to the solar, you can obviously see the holes that were there when I had it mounted to that. So we've got the less excess wire, but still excess, all tucked in there, and I don't know if I'll be able to get down, but yeah, there we go. So yeah, I've cut out a segment of that little vent in that part there, and then I've run the cord underneath there and then all the way up to there. But yeah, I'm gonna go grab the conduit and I'll just go through and just try and neaten up as much as I can, really. The real test will be this camping trip. So anyway, I'm very tired. It is almost midnight, and yeah, I'm gonna try and wrap this up. That is pretty much everything buttoned up for the moment. Yeah, I guess we'll just see how it goes. To be honest, I've got kind of mixed feelings about it, but honestly, it's more of a practicality thing than it's meant to be something pretty to look at. So it certainly looks a lot better now that it has the conduit on there, making it not look like a giant like nest of bloody spaghetti. It's made it look a little bit better, but just a little bit. So since it's 12:33, I think I might pick this up tomorrow, technically later today, I guess. But for the moment, just gonna roll with that, I guess, and we'll just have to see. I guess that's the only downside to using the inline watt meters, is you've got to find somewhere to put them, which can be a hassle, but I don't know, we'll just see how it goes. I'll also probably put my drawer back in tomorrow as well. Not gonna bother doing that tonight, because I am bloody tired. That is most definitely going to be a tomorrow job. Anyway, catch us in the next clip. It is the next day, and yeah, honestly, I'm not too fussed with how it all looks, I guess, looking at it with a fresh set of eyes, but it just has to function. It does not have to look nice, and it definitely does function. Everything works flawlessly. It just looks a little bit messy, which, I don't know, I guess I'm fine with, because I can't really do much about that. I could try and build my own battery box, but that presents its own issues. So yeah, I think for the moment, when I'm running this 60 amp hour lithium battery, I think that'll just do. And then later, when I end up going to 100 amp hour lithium, the slimline one, I'll just run it down the side there, and then a lot of this can go over that way, / be hidden a bit better. But yeah, for the moment, I'm gonna rock with that. And then I'm gonna install the drawer in here. And then what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna grab my fridge, gonna chuck it in here, hook it all up. I'll probably hook up my power station as well. I just want to put a maximum amount of load on the system while I'm still here, so that if anything does go, I can replace whatever ends up being the weakest link. I'll also park it in the sun so I can put some charge back into the battery as well. Got the drawer installed. Actually wasn't too bad this time. I used some real thick heavy duty brackets, that way it's not going anywhere. Obviously the wobbling, that is just down to the fact that I've mounted the frame with rubber bushes on either side, but I do have that little support leg underneath, so that should do just fine. However, I just realized I'm now going to have to move the fridge little holderies over a bit, because when I open the fridge door, well, it hits the side of this, so got to move it a bit that way, so that way I can have the door open and just have it rest up there. Actually, because the fridge is plugged in, I wonder if I can see any of the wattage coming out of it. I guess I just got to wait for the actual thing to turn on. I think the fridge only consumes about 45 watts when it's actually like at full tilt, and it doesn't turn on as much with that fridge cover on, because I think for the last trip out to Nurham Creek, I actually didn't have the cover on the fridge, and yeah, that was not making the fridge's job easy in the car to keep everything cool. So once I move the mounts for the fridge and I've got it in place, I'm going to roll the car out into the driveway and see if I can start getting some power into the battery, and we'll have the fridge loading on the system, and then I'll also go and grab my power station, which will probably pull about 80 watts, I think, on its charging cycle. So that combined with the fridge should hopefully work together, but if not, well, I'll just find out what the weakest link is and replace it. Got the fridge in, and as we can see down there, we've got, what was that, 30, almost 40 watts power, a couple amps, 44.4 watts peak, 0.280 amp hours, 3.7 watt hours, 4.19 amp max, and then yeah, this is going to keep cycling through that, which is good. Alright, so real test now, going to push it out into the sun, and yeah, we'll see exactly what comes in, what goes out. The solar panel's a bit dirty and the sun's also going down, so I'm not expecting to get the 100 watts that the panel should put out. Anyway, let's go do that. Alright, so the solar still isn't actually coming through just yet. Not sure why that is, although there might just not be enough sun getting around. It's a hot one today. Now, just to see if the panel does anything. Not doing anything at the moment, but yeah, the sun's kind of gone behind the trees, so not really going to happen. As you can see on the brickwork there, I'm pretty sure the car's actually in shadow, so there is a couple things I still need to do to wrap everything up. I've got to go grab my power station, chuck it in, try and put some charge into it, just see if anything in the system gets hot or any fuses go or anything like that. And then I'll double check that all these fridge mounts that I moved back over are good and it's all like aligned properly. And then yeah, we'll pick it back up again when I know that everything is peachy. Power station is charging at about 60 watts, and we're pulling a bit over 100 watts from that accessory panel, 115, about 9 amps in total. Battery voltage has dropped down to about 12.9, which is normal. Nothing from the solar yet, but well, that's because the sun's gone. Anyway, I'm going to let this charge up for a little bit longer. Kind of bummed that this doesn't charge at any higher of a wattage, because this power station can take, I think it's about 80 watts, is generally sort of what it'll take. It's only pulling about 60 at the moment, so almost had 120 up on there on the watts, 119.05, almost consumed 1 amp hour. So yeah, that's pretty decent considering this thing draws so much bloody power when it's plugged in. The battery itself is only 33 amp hours, I think. Yeah, 33.8 amp hours, so I'm sure between this power station being 33.8, that being a 60 amp hour battery, I'm gonna have almost 100 amp hours to play with. Yeah. So I didn't realize that I forgot to film an outro. I was actually just in the middle of doing some stuff on the car, and I thought, oh crap, I've got to get this video uploaded by tomorrow. And yeah, ducked into the editing room and noticed that the end of the video was just me standing at the back of the car. So anyway, this is going to be the ending of the video now, but yeah, progress update. It's probably been about a week, maybe about 5 days, I think. Yeah, honestly, it's all going good, flawless. Not really any issues at all. Everything powers up just fine. Got no issues with things being you know, powered and things like that. No short circuits, no anything really. Not really much to report about. I would like to put some caps on these terminals at some point, but for the moment, it's fine. For the most part, I'm going to be the only one back here. But yeah, to sort of round everything up, it works just fine, no issues at all. Obviously it looks a little bit messy, but to be honest, it's kind of growing on me a little bit. Looks sort of, it makes it look more complicated than what it actually is, with all the wires and tubes and bits and whatnot going everywhere. But honestly, this is about as good as I can do in the car without building a, I don't even know, I'd have to build like a false wall that would insert into that area, and then everything could bolt to that and the wires could hide behind it. But I don't have the time. I don't also have the skill either, which is a big thing. It was already hard enough getting the little floor platform for the fridge to actually fit the contour of the, you know, trim in the back of the car. So, but yeah, honestly, everything works fine, no issues at all. Battery's fully charged up, so just took a good day sitting out in the sun, and yeah, no issues. So, you know, looks aside, it functions perfectly fine. I'm happy with it, and it does everything I pretty much need it to. Anyway, with all that said, thank you very much for watching the video, especially if you watched all the way to the end. Greatly appreciate that. Definitely like, subscribe, share, all that sort of stuff. It really does help the channel, and we're almost at 700 at the moment, so I would absolutely love a subscription. Get us up to that 1,000 mark. With all that said, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.